Hi everyone, in this video tutorial I will show you how to make the very beautiful and beginner friendly wattle stitch. It's really made using a combination of the single and the double crochet stitches, so it is an excellent stitch if you've learned the basics and are looking for something slightly more complex but still beginner friendly. In the description down below I will have left you a link to the written instructions available on my blog for this stitch, as well as the detailed video tutorials if you're looking for a bit more insight and information about how to make the single and the double crochet stitches. So let's get started. For the wattle stitch, start by making a slip knot, and then you'll go ahead and chain multiples of 3. So for this project, for this swatch, I will chain 12 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And once you have reached your desired length, you'll place another 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. And now we're ready to start with row 1. For this row, you will start making your wattle pattern essentially, which will involve making multiple stitches in a single chain. So to make sure that the shape of the chain or the individual loops don't get too elongated, I suggest that you pick up the first or the top 2 loops of each chain which you are about to work in. So to kick off, we will need to make a single crochet in the second chain from hook. So this loop here on the hook doesn't count. This one is the first one, and therefore this one is the second one. And if you look closely, you will see that if you slightly turn your piece, you can insert your hook on the top 2 loops of that chain. So insert your hook like that, picking up the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull through. You will have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again, and pull through both of the loops. And now you have your first single crochet. And if you want a step-by-step tutorial about how to make this stitch, I will link a link in the description box below. Now go ahead to your second chain here, the one right after, and you will again work a single crochet. You'll pick up the both on the top loops as such. And once you have worked your single crochet, you'll chain 1, and then you will go back to that same chain and you will make a double crochet. So yarn over, put your hook through the chain, yarn over and pull through. You will have 3 loops on your hook. You will yarn over again and you'll pull your hook through the first 2 loops as such. You will yarn over again and pull through the remaining 2 loops. And you should have something that looks like this. You will then go ahead and skip the next 2 chains. So the first one and the second one. And you will work in this one here. And you will work the same sequence of stitches. So picking up the top 2 loops of your chain, make a single crochet. Chain 1. And now we should place our double crochet in that same chain space, in the same chain. So yarn over, put your hook through your chain, yarn over and pull through. You will have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. You will again skip the next 2 stitches, and in that, or rather skip the next 2 chains, and then you will again repeat the same sequence of stitches. Single crochet, chain 1, and then double crochet. And you'll continue in this way all across your piece. and towards the end, you will see here, once I've completed the set of stitches here, you will see that I will be left with 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. So since I've done my cluster of stitches here, my combination of single crochet stitch, chain 1, double crochet, I will skip the next 2 chains and I will work a single crochet in that last chain. And there we go. We've completed our first row. Now we will go ahead and chain 1 and turn my piece. And row 2 will be the row that you then keep on repeating until you've reached your desired length. So the first thing we will do is we will start by making a single crochet again in that first stitch, like so. And then we will work our next stitch in that chain 1 space we created in the previous row. And I'll remove my hook here to show you a bit more clearly. So the way to identify the chain 1 space, if by pulling your piece you can't really see it very easily, is to identify where your double crochet is. And you can see that the double crochet stitch is the one that is slightly slanted and longer than the rest. So we have one here, we have one here, we have one here, and we have one here. And then right next to it, there should be a single crochet. So in between, I will find my chain 1 space. So let's go ahead and work in that chain 1 space. And you will repeat the same sequence of stitches that we've been working on up until now. So a single crochet, a chain 1, and then a double crochet. Like so. You'll go ahead and then you'll identify where your next chain 1 space is. For me, it's right here. And you'll do the same. Single crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And you'll repeat that until the end of your row. If you're having trouble identifying where your chain 1 spaces are, or you think you might miss one, an easy way of just remembering how many chain 1 spaces there would be on one row would be to recall how many multiples of 3 chains you made in the beginning. So in my case, for this swatch, I made 12 chains, so 3 times 4, 12. So I know I will have 4 chain 1 spaces. And true enough, I worked on 3 already. 1, 2, 3. And there will be a last one here. So that's just a handy way of just remembering how many chain 1 spaces you are likely to have on your row, and just double check that you worked on the right number of stitches. So here I've done my I've almost completed my row. I've done my set of 4 stitches in those chain 1 spaces, and I will go to the last stitch here, this one, which is my single crochet from my previous row, and I'll put another single crochet here. I'll chain 1 and I'll turn my piece, and now I'm ready to start the row 3, which will be a repeat of row 2. And you can continue building your piece exactly in the same way. So let's go ahead and do row 3 together so that I can show you how the piece is developing. Again, you will start by making a single crochet in that first stitch. Then you'll find where that chain 1 space is, and it's right here. Again, you can see that this double crochet is slightly slanted here, so I know that right next to it and before the single crochet, that's where my chain 1 space is. And as your piece grows, and you start to pull it apart a bit, you will be able to see the chain 1 space clearly as well. So let's go ahead, put a single crochet in that chain 1 space, make that chain 1, and the double crochet. So the great thing about this stitch is that it gives you a nice, almost a lacy effect. Could be confused with sort of abstract flowers, but it has a nice lacy sort of modern feel to it. And at the same time, it's not too loose. It's quite a thick stitch in that it doesn't have many holes. So it's actually a really gorgeous texture and a nice thickness that you can use in multiple projects. So again, single crochet in that chain 1 space, chain 1 and double crochet, all in that same chain 1 space. And now I've reached the end of my row again. Doing my last double crochet for this row, and I'll go back to my single crochet, the last single crochet of that row, and work another single crochet there. I'll chain 1 and turn my piece, and again I'm ready for the next row. So what I'll do is I will pause this video, work on a few more rows on this piece to show you the texture a bit better, and I'll come back, show you how this looks, but also share some tips and tricks about how you can use this stitch and what projects might look really great with such a stitch. So see you in a moment. So here we are. I've worked a few more rows in the wattle stitch, and you can see the beautiful texture that this stitch creates. It looks a bit like flowers in my view. It's a bit abstract, it's a bit lacy, but what I love about it is that it's still quite thick. It doesn't have a lot of holes. It has a good structure, so it's an excellent project, particularly if you're working in cotton, for making reusable makeup remover pads, for dishcloths or even pot holders, and of course with even a thicker yarn that will just accentuate the beautiful pattern, you can do shawls and blankets and so many other things. If you're finding that working directly on the chain is creating some huge gaps for you, even though you're working on the top 2 loops of the chain, then you can start off by making a row of single crochets, if that will be helpful. You can try it out in a swatch and see if it works. Maybe for a project like a scarf or something like that, it will be useful. However, if you're looking to put an additional border around your piece at the end, then that step might not be necessary. So I hope you found this video tutorial helpful. Let me know if you give the wattle stitch a go, and as always, happy crocheting!